Ghostly tales, yet mirrors of human life. Hey everyone! Welcome to Encountering Chinese, Ghostly Tales from Zhai. Today, I'm going to tell you 3 short stories. The first story is titled, The Old Lady Who Makes Soup Cakes. Han Sheng had been living in his villa for about half a year and only returned home at the end of the year. One night, as Han Sheng's wife was just lying down, she heard footsteps inside the house. She opened her eyes and saw the coal in the stove burning brightly, with flames flickering, and an old lady standing inside the room. The old lady was around 80 or 90 years old, her face full of wrinkles, her back hunched, and her hair sparse. The old lady slowly said to Han Sheng's wife, "Do you want to eat soup cakes?" Han Sheng's wife, feeling even more terrified upon hearing this, dared not respond. The old lady then used the fire tongs to stoke the fire, placed a pot on the stove, and poured in some water. After a while, Han Sheng's wife heard the water boiling. The old lady lifted her robe, opened a pouch at her waist, took out dozens of soup cakes, and threw them into the pot. Each time a cake was dropped, the sound of it hitting the water could be clearly heard. The old lady then muttered to herself, "Let me find some chopsticks." Saying this, she walked out the door. Seizing the moment while the old lady was away, Han Sheng's wife quickly got up, took the pot, dumped the soup cakes behind the bamboo bed, and covered herself back up with the quilt. Shortly after, the old lady returned to the room, asking Han Sheng's wife where the pot of soup cakes had gone. Han Sheng's wife, feeling even more terrified, screamed. The family members, awakened by the screams, rushed to her room, causing the old lady to leave. The family members entered Han Sheng's wife's room, lifted the bamboo bed, and shone a light, revealing dozens of cockroaches piled up where Han Sheng's wife had dumped the soup cakes. The second story is titled, Filial's Son. To the east of Qingzhou City lies Xiang Mountain. At the foot of this mountain lived a man named Zhou Shunting. Zhou Shunting was naturally filial and devoted himself daily to caring for his sick mother. His mother had developed a large, painful boil on her leg, causing her constant agony and making her groan day and night. Zhou Shunting massaged and applied medicine to his mother's leg every day, to the point of neglecting his own needs. However, after several months, his mother's condition had not improved. Zhou Shunting was deeply worried but had no idea how to help. One day, Zhou Shunting dreamt of his deceased father, who said to him, "Thanks to your filial devotion, your careful care has prevented your mother's condition from worsening. However, the boil on her leg can only be cured with an ointment made from human flesh. Your current worry and distress are of no use." When Zhou Shunting woke up, he believed the dream was extraordinary and took it seriously. He immediately got up and used a sharp knife to cut a piece of flesh from his rib. Surprisingly, he did not feel much pain as the flesh was removed. After obtaining the flesh, he quickly bandaged his waist and was astonished to find that the wound hardly bled. Zhou Shunting then made the flesh into an ointment and applied it to his mother's boil, which instantly relieved her pain. His mother asked joyfully, "What medicine is this that is so effective?" Zhou Shunting made up a lie to cover up the truth. Shortly after, his mother's boil was completely healed. From then on, Zhou Shunting often hid the area where he had cut the flesh, so much so that even his wife did not know about it. Eventually, the wound healed, leaving a palm-sized scar. It was only after his wife repeatedly questioned him that she learned the full story. At the end of the story, the author adds the following commentary. Cutting one's own flesh to save a loved one is an act of harming one's own body, which a true gentleman would not endorse. However, ignorant men and women fail to realize that harming oneself is also an act of unfilial behavior. They simply follow their own impulses. If there were people who could truly understand the essence of filial piety, they would be recognized even between heaven and earth. Unfortunately, those responsible for educating and guiding customs are often too busy to commend those who truly practice filial piety. As a result, many people do not genuinely understand filial piety and instead rely on these superficial stories. The third story is titled The Clay Statue. In Yishui County, there was a man named Ma who married a woman from the Wang family. After their marriage, the couple was deeply in love. However, shortly after the wedding, Ma passed away due to illness. Wang's parents wanted her to remarry, but she loved her husband dearly and swore never to marry another. Her mother-in-law, pitying Wang for her youth, also encouraged her to remarry, but Wang refused. Wang's mother said to her, "Your intentions are admirable, but you are still young and have no children. I often see women who initially refuse to remarry but later face shame. It would be better to remarry early, this is only natural." Despite her mother's advice, Wang solemnly swore never to remarry, and her mother, unable to change her mind, let her be. Wang had a small clay statue of her husband made and would place it next to her at the table when she ate, offering it food as if her husband were still alive. One night, as Wang was preparing for bed, she suddenly saw the clay statue of her husband yawn, stretch, and step down from the altar. Shocked, she watched as the statue quickly grew to the height of a living person. Looking closely, she realized it was indeed her husband. Frightened, Wang thought of calling her mother-in-law, but the clay figure stopped her, saying, "Do not call out. I am moved by your deep affection and have seen your refusal to remarry. I could not bear to see you alone in this world. Having a loyal wife like you brings comfort to our ancestors. My father committed immoral acts in his lifetime, which should have left us without descendants, leading to my early death. The officials in the underworld, seeing your steadfast virtue, allowed me to return to father a son with you to keep you company." Wang, with tears in her eyes, resumed her loving relationship with the ghost of her husband. Each morning, at the crow of the rooster, the ghost would leave. This continued for over a month, and Wang felt movement in her womb. One day, the ghost tearfully said to Wang, "My time is up, and from tomorrow, I must bid you farewell forever. I will not be able to return again." Initially, Wang did not tell anyone about this incident. However, as her belly gradually grew, she could no longer hide it and secretly confided in her mother-in-law. At first, her mother-in-law suspected that Wang was making up stories, but observing that Wang indeed had not behaved inappropriately, she was baffled. 10 months later, Wang truly gave birth to a baby boy. When the Ma family explained the situation to their neighbors, no one believed them and they secretly mocked Wang, who had no way to defend herself. Coincidentally, the local headman, who had a grudge against Ma, seized this opportunity to report the matter to the county magistrate. The magistrate summoned the neighbors for questioning, and they all gave the same account. The magistrate said, "I have heard that children born of ghosts have no shadows. If the child has a shadow, it must be false." So, he ordered the child to be brought out into the sunlight to check. The child's shadow appeared faint, like a wisp of smoke, barely discernible. The magistrate then instructed the officers to prick the child's finger and smear the blood on Ma's clay statue. The blood immediately soaked into the statue. However, when they smeared the child's blood on other clay statues, it wiped off easily. Thus, the magistrate believed Wang's story to be true. As the child grew older, his appearance and mannerisms increasingly resembled Ma's, and people's doubts gradually disappeared. Alright. That's all for today's ghostly tales, The Old Lady Who Makes Soup Cakes, Filial's Son, and The Clay Statue. If you enjoyed them, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Please also encourage everyone to comment and share more. We'll see you in the next episode.